Hello, everybody. It's Dana Brooks of Fasig Brooks Law Offices, and you are back with us for another episode of the Empower Hour brought to you by the Empower Plant. Welcome. We have a great, exciting show today. I'm getting to see some faces I haven't seen in a while. Some of my most favorite people in the world are here. We're talking about mentors today, the importance of finding someone to mentor you and the importance of being a mentor if you're in a position where you can help some other people on their journey. So welcome, everybody. Welcome back. We have two special people I told you about today. We've got first Alana Weatherstone. I was going to call you Weatherspoon. I do know her. I know her name. Alana Weatherstone. She is a big time trial lawyer down in South Florida. She does what we do, but she does it down there. And she helps so many people every year because her heart is bigger than her and my hair together.
Yes,
If you can look at her, you see a little bit of a similarity there. Yeah, I used to call her Mini Me. She's actually taller than I am. But when she worked with me, when she was a 1L and a 2L in law school, and we tried a couple cases, but we tried one case that I still get asked to speak to the first year tort students about, even about 10 years later or so. So we got some stories, y'all. So welcome, Alana.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for making the time, because this girl has no time.
Sure.
She's got toddlers, she's got people, she's got clients, she's juggling all the balls. She reminds me a lot of my friend Kimmy Hogan here tonight on the panel again. We've got Betsy Brown, my law partner, back. We have got Khia Thomas, our PR director, back. And we have our other guest, who is Elizabeth Hughes. I met Elizabeth when I was asked to judge I think Miss Wakala pageant or something like competition.
A scholarship pageant.
Oh yeah. And so I thought to myself, why are they asking a feminist to judge a pageant? What are they, But I went in there with an open mind and open ears, and I'm all about it now. And I can tell you why, because I meet women like Elizabeth. And what she has done, she organized when she was still in high school and hosted a debate among the three major candidates for state office. Who did that in high school? Get real. She had her associate degree before she graduated. She hit the ground running. She now works for a state representative. Bright future ahead of her. So I'd love to have you back. It's good to see your pretty face.
Yes, I'm excited to see everybody and be back on the show.
She was a panel member when she was working with us. So yay, everybody. But first, let me go back and start with Alana. And Alana, tell us about yourself and what you do. Just give us your story, if you will.
Absolutely. And again, thank you for having me. This is so exciting. I love that this Empower Hour has gone via Zoom, so I can be a guest all the way in South Florida. But my name is Alana Weatherstone. I've been practicing law for 9 years. Basically, I went to undergrad at Florida State as well as law school at Florida State. And all through that time, I saw Miss Dana Brooks on commercials. And from that time, I just decided that I wanted to both be Dana Brooks and work for Dana Brooks. So right when I got into law school, I want to say almost immediately, I sent her a very, very long email explaining what I knew I could contribute to her firm despite not knowing anything. And she took me up on that. And I ended up having just an experience that was just unbelievable. And honestly, something that's still envy of a lot of my peers, because I believe that it gave me such a head start with everything. As Dana was saying earlier, I got to try a case with her that was probably the craziest case, honestly, that I've ever tried, still to this day. And I'm sure she'll tell you more about that. But basically, I am a mom of two amazing little boys, Ellis and Gray. They are 2 and 4 years old. I am married to an attorney as well. He did defense for a while, which was odd, but now he's wearing the white hat. Now he's plaintiff's attorney. And we both live in South Florida, and our passion, aside from the law and our kids, is rescuing dogs, which I can't stop doing. Yes. And I just try a lot of cases and just working hard for all of the injured people that come my way. And the passion really started out under Dana's wing. So I'm forever thankful for that.
You're sweet. And I want to get into that, because mentoring is I think a lot of people see it as you look for a perfect example of what you're aiming for and you emulate them.
Yes.
That's not true. And if you are a mentor, I think it's important, and I write about that in the book, and your email is in my book. I'm going to talk about
I know.
that's important to let, in my opinion, let the people you are mentoring see you fuck up. They need
Amen.
to see you fail. They need to see you respond to all this stress and pressure in a bad way. And they need to see your resilience. They
Yeah.
need to see you own your mistakes. They need to see you get better. And they need to, you're an example, but you're not a perfect example, because life isn't perfect. And what you're trying to help them with is not going to be ultimately a perfect life. So we could talk about that, because I made some mistakes.
I mean, listen, when I first met you, I had no idea that you were a recent graduate. So I had this
You understand, I've only was a lawyer like 3 years whenever she worked
if
with me.
that. In
If
my
that.
head, I had this whole thing in my head of you. And then when I met you and I realized that you were also human, filled with flaws, personally and professionally wise, but all ones that, as you just said, you overcame the hurdles, which, as we know, I had hurdles that I faced countless amounts, and I'm sure we'll continue to face. But when you see somebody that you identify as somebody that you respect, and they're human, they're going to deal with stuff, and you see them deal with it, it's such a great mentor versus somebody just acting all high and mighty. And what are you going to learn from that person? Because that's not real life.
Right.
Not at all.
So that was amazing. And also, I mean, when I promoted this, I wrote on my Facebook page, the mentorship, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Part of working with Dana, which was so amazing, is that you trusted me initially and gave me some things to do that were amazing and made me feel worthy. But through that, of course, I'll never forget, I made a mistake that to this day lives with me, but it was a learning lesson. We had some sort of confidential thing that we were filing with the court, and I simply needed to file a notice of confidentiality, whatever. I attached the confidentiality. Do you remember this? Oh, well, I do. It's just burned in my mind. But anyway,
I don't remember that at all.
You helped me work through it and figure it out so it didn't become a bigger issue. So before even becoming a lawyer, I already had the experience of a heart-dropping mistake and what to do and how to figure it out and keep your composure during it, which is why, I mean, just one of the million reasons I can go on and on why mentorship specifically with you is unequivocal.
That, because we probably had so many other bigger fish to fry back then. We probably just dealt with it, handled it, moved on, and everything was fine. But yeah, that's what I tell people. I tell clients and I tell other people this: there's hardly ever a mistake you can't deal with if someone coughs it up, owns it, and brings it to you. It's all the secrets.
Yeah.
It's all the things you're not telling me that I'm probably not going to be able to handle as well on the fly. So that's an important piece. We'll get back to it. Elizabeth, I want to hear from you for a minute. Tell everybody who you are, what is your passion, and tell us your story.
Well, my name's Elizabeth Hughes, and I've been interested in going into a field of law or politics since about 7th grade. I'm currently 21 and I'm about to graduate Florida State with my bachelor's degree and move forward with a master's and maybe law school down the road. So that's my plans for now. I worked at Fasig Brooks for almost 3 years, starting, I think it was the summer before my senior year of high school, maybe. It was when I first started with you guys, which seems crazy that it was that long ago, and all the things that have changed since then. While I worked at Fasig Brooks, I did a couple other things on the side. I did some tutoring at Wakulla High School and Wakulla Middle School. I worked on some campaigns, and now I currently work with the Florida legislature with a state representative and absolutely love it. I still use some of the things that I learned at Fasig Brooks from Dana to this day about both personal injury, marketing, and even some of the personal pieces of advice that she's given me. Mentorship, you don't have to 100% be just like the person that's mentoring you. And I think Dana and I are a great example of that. We're a lot the same, but we're a lot different. And it's just so good to have a person that believes in you, trusts in you, and is going to be there to give you advice along the way, regardless of if you're identical to them or not.
Right. That's important. You know, Alana and I were very simpatico, very much aligned. And whenever I met Elizabeth, you know, her orientation's different than mine. Her experience, her life experience is much more different than mine. But we acknowledged that and we addressed it, but that wasn't the focus of our relationship. You can find things that you can help with and learn from. I learn as much from you guys as you learn from me, period. That's number one.
Every time I talk to you, I learn so much.
No, I learn from y'all. I learn from you too. So just don't be afraid to get into a mentorship relationship with someone who's not 100% aligned with your worldview, because I bet you anything, if they're accomplished and they've done something you're interested in doing, you'll learn something from them. So I like that.
And I think it's important to you need to have those relationships with people, because I think everybody has something to contribute in my life. And I think other people should look at people that way too. You know, you can learn something from just about everybody.
I don't want to be in an echo chamber, in a bubble. I mean, I tell people all the time, the one thing I know for sure is that I don't know everything. I only know what I know. I want to know what you know. Okay, open up your brain. I want to know right now what Kimmy Hogan thinks about this. Kimmy, did you have any mentors in your life at any point? And what was your experience there? And also, do you mentor anyone? Tell us about your experience.
Yeah, so as we were going through this, I was sitting here going, oh, I need to jot down my mentors. I knew it was coming. So my first mentor was my debate coach. When I was at college at FSU, I was on the policy debate team, and my coach was a female, which I think she was one of the only female policy debate coaches in the country. It's a national circuit. You travel around the country competing in policy debate tournaments. Her name's Danielle Weesey Leak. And she was just fantastic. She was the first woman in my life that had received higher education degrees that I was really close with. You know, when I was growing up, I knew I would go to college. I never thought about getting an advanced degree. And then when I met her, it almost became like a foregone conclusion. It was just like, what degree are you going to get? But she was just so strong and smart and interesting and supportive. And I was 18 years old when I met her, so that we worked together for about 4 years on policy debate, and it's really fun thinking about her. But so that was my first mentor. And the one thing she learned from me was she moved to Florida from Michigan, and when she moved into her house, there was a giant June bug on the wall, which is a giant cockroach with wings. Yeah. And she called me freaking out, like, Kimmy, I don't know what to do. There's this monster in my house. I was like, it's just a cockroach. Like, kill it. We drove from her house up at my dorm so that I could go back to her house and kill the June bug for her.
Oh my goodness. It takes a village, man. You don't know what help you need until your ass is in a crack.
So that was my value. But the other two mentors that I have are both men, my dad, and then also Jimmy Fasig. Jimmy has been my legal mentor. He hired me right out of law school, but Jimmy taught me everything I know about personal injury. And I loved how y'all were talking about you have to be okay with failure, and it's helpful to see your mentor fail, because with Jimmy, anytime a mistake was made, the question wasn't, why did this happen? How dare you? Let me make you feel bad about it. It was, okay, no problem.
Fix it. Yeah.
Let's figure out how we can fix it. And let's figure out how we can make this into a wonderful opportunity so our life was even better because you made this mistake.
Jimmy's better at that. Like me, I'm like, let's fix it and go to the next fire. Jimmy's like, let's fix this and let's, have a kumbaya moment and make this an opportunity, a learning experience, and bring other people into it. And I'm just like, that's not how I mentor.
That's not how I do it.
Fix and move on to the next fire. But no, I love that about him. And he is also one of my mentors.
Yeah. And then my final mentor, I would say, is my dad. And he's not a lawyer. He's worked for the state for over 30 years. And he is a professional manager. He's managed thousands of people. And so he's always been, in terms of like a business sense, like, hey, what's the professional thing to do here? Talk about not being exactly the same, but being able to still gain value from each other. So he's been a professional mentor, of course, a wonderful father too, but I still count him as like a professional mentor as well.
That's so nice. That's so enriching to have a person that close to you who can also mentor you in your journey more so than guide and protection like we usually get from our parents, but to have parents who also offer, you know, some very meaningful professional advice. That's uncommon, and that's great that you can receive that. And I don't believe there's anything gender based about mentoring. You know, you can mentor anybody. It's always probably considered easier if they kind of look and act like you, but not necessarily. I don't have any problem with women being mentored by men. I mean, think about it. We didn't have all the power. The power that we do have was given to us by some enlightened men because they had all the control. So men are not bad. You know, a lot of people think, oh, you're feminist, you don't like men. That's not true. You know, if it weren't for a lot of the mentoring and people saying, come on into this club, y'all probably can do some things we can't do. Let's make the world better. We need enlightened men. And I love it. I love this, your story about your dad. Khia, what about you? Have you mentored or been mentored?
I have been a mentor, currently a mentor. I coach a cheer squad. So that's exciting. Almost over 125 girls going out of town almost every weekend. But I think my first mentor, and it's actually going down the lines of Kimmy, was my dad, because he was my first coach. I started running track at 7, and we used to be at the beach because I'm from St. Petersburg. So the best way to build up your endurance, I don't know if anybody's seen my calves before, but
They're real. They're
I would
real.
love to give them away. But I think it has everything to do with waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning and being at the beach with the little parachute behind you. And
Oh my goodness.
yeah, every time.
Is that mentorship or torture?
But it was actually me waking him up like, Dad, you said that you were going to get up and we got to go. I hate losing. And that's why I say failure is not an option.
Well, you're in the right place, sister.
Hey, and one of the
You hate losing, welcome.
Exactly. And one of the biggest things, an acronym my dad used to always say to me is that the failure acronym, or FAIL, actually means forever acquiring important lessons. So I would always look at that way. So my dad was my first mentor. Mom, I love you if you're watching. And then even down the lines of leadership, because my dad has always worked in some type of marketing or entrepreneur type thing. So getting all those different little, mini skills from him of saying like, listen, you got to do it this way. Or when you're managing people, you got to make sure that you're doing employee relations. So it's all those little things. Then my next mentor, I met her in college. I was actually in the SBI program at FAM. Loved it, but hated it. Like, why are we doing all this finance? I'm more of a communicator. What are we doing? And she actually became my pastor, and she was like, you need to switch to J school. And I was like, I would love to. Is it more communicating? As I'm over SBI. So got over there, and she never let me go, but then she left our church because I'm an AME. I'm Baptist as a background, but when I came up here, I went under watch care service in the AME church. And she left and got a new pastor. But I was in J school now. And then in came Professor Godwin, who is now the ABC president. And the way she became my mentor is I actually went to tell on one of my deans. And I was like, they said I was squinching in a package. Do you see how small my eyes are? I'm not squinching. You have to squinch like this. And I got a D on the package. And I was like, I have never had a D in my life. I'm not.
Don't accept it, not
right.
having it.
I was like, it's all because of squinching, and I'm not squinching. Look. And she was like, okay, let's go take this back to your professor and we'll work out the package. But from that point forth, I was always in her office working on my infotainment, working with the magazine, and I'm still in contact with her. I think the biggest thing that I learned from her was that it's okay to jump around. And I was always so focused on, I'm going to be in, broadcast, not knowing that there were so many other avenues in the background of communication, because she always used to tell me there are other things other than just being an anchor. You can do this, you can do PR, which is what I'm doing now. So
Very
think
good at
those-
it.
Yeah, thank you. Those are my top 3 mentors.
I love it. I love it. And I love, again, your dad. And I love that you listened to somebody as a mentor who told you maybe switch course. Because a
Right,
lot of
right.
people, when they get, okay, me, when I set my sights on something, I'm like, this is what's happening. This is
Right.
happening. And so I'm not real open or real receptive to somebody telling me to pivot. I will just dig my heels in and make things so much worse. And I've learned that. I've got to yield more, and I've got to consider alternatives
Right.
more, and really respect the wisdom other people bring that I don't have. And so I need to get something from them. Betsy, what about you and mentorship? What's been your experience?
Sorry, I was slightly, I don't know. Khia's face was just so intimidating just now.
Like Cassidy.
Giving her grief.
I almost can't concentrate. No,
Giving her.
I'm teasing.
That's an inside joke.
She's teasing, guys. She's
So no, I've been blessed to have some great mentors. I would say my biggest mentor in my career was Chris Barkus, who was my supervising attorney for the formative years of my career. And what you guys were talking about having male mentors, it's important to have not only male mentors, but like male allies who will look out for you. And there were times, because I had, at a very critical time in my career, I had twins. And it was during the time in my career where I was working the hardest, and I was just trying to, advance and move up. And so it happened at a rough time for me, but he's one who said, listen, whatever it takes, we'll do it. We're going to get through this, and don't get off the track, stay on the track. I'll help you. And that was huge, because I needed to hear that, and I needed to hear him say it. So he's still a very dear friend of mine, and he taught me, the ropes. And I've said so much in this practice, it's about the big picture and understanding the big picture, more so than the details. So he helped me with that. And he also helped me get the skills I needed to get a case to where it needed to be. So he's probably my number one mentor. And as far as people I have mentored, I had the opportunity to kind of pay that forward to a younger associate in my last firm, and had the joy of watching her blossom into just an excellent lawyer. And I'm just like, I felt like Yoda standing there watching, approving, when she would nail a deposition or something. And so mentoring is fun. It is fun. And Kayla, who is my mentee that I was just talking about, she got to see me, mess up. And then I got to teach her, look, most things are fixable. Most everything is fixable. So let's just focus on, fixing it and moving on. And so yeah, mentoring is important, and it's something I wish I had time to do more of.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's there's no finish line. As long as we're breathing, we've got opportunity left in us to help people and to be helped by people. I appreciate that. It's good to have a male mentor, especially with what we're doing. There's more women graduating law school, but not more women in the profession of law. They tend to drop off for reasons. I mean, do I have to tell you, please? So if you really want to stay in and you want to be successful, it's great to find some women mentors and leaders who have figured it out with having kids, with being married, with all those kinds of things. Kimmy and Alana, very important for you to help. I mean, you don't realize you're doing it probably, but people are watching you. And they're seeing how you do this, because what I don't like is to encourage women to downplay anything as they're pursuing everything. A lot of people will tell you, well, you've had your kids drop to 75%, drop to 50%. When you drop, you lose. And so to me, it's like, no, elevate your skill set, find ways to sub out some of the stuff you don't have to do, find ways to make sure you're making the highest, best use of the time that you have, but that does not mean abandon your profession, abandon all the goals you work for just so you can have a family and a nice life. You can do it all. It takes a supreme level of organization and asking for help, but it's possible. I want to talk now about how you find a mentor. Okay? Now, why this woman reached out to me at this stage in my career, I don't know. I think I'm talking about Alana, and I think she saw what I was putting out as my image and she believed it and thought, I want to do that too. Okay. Now, what was happening in reality at the time? Okay, if you reached out to me, I got the thing here. You wrote me email January 2011. I became a member of the bar April of 8. So this is 3 years, not even. Okay. So she writes me this email. Dear Ms. Brooks, my name is Alana. I'm a 1L entering spring semester at Florida State Law. I've been lucky enough to find my niche early in law school. I've chosen the path of personal injury law. I attended undergrad here at Florida State. I've seen you on commercials along with the rest of your firm for the past 4.5 years. No, you haven't. It shows you the power of image. She thought I'd been around a minute.
I thought I saw her all that time.
You did not. I always saw you and said, Dana Brooks is exactly how I want to be when I grow up. And then she goes, this is so Alana. She goes, I am not even exaggerating in the least bit. Exaggerators always tell you, I'm not even exaggerating. Okay, what else? Oh, and I love this part. Ever since seeing you on Law Call, you have more or less been my motivation throughout the years of me being called legally blonde and feeling as though both my gender and my appearance initially provide some skepticism of just how serious I may or may not be. I always felt as though I relate to you, a determined young woman who can hang with the best of them. And then she told me about all her extremely excellent credentials, Dean List, cum laude. And she goes, and the purpose of my email is to inquire into any internship position, paid or unpaid, that you have. I want an internship this summer, but the things I've got going on right now, I could start ASAP. The reason I targeted you is because all these pieces seem to fit. Your highly personable attitude and familiarity with the community. She just goes on and on and on. And this was a long email, okay? And so I get this and I'm going, who is this girl? And so I share it with my 2 partners at the time, and they're like, God, you're going to become insufferable. We should have never put you on commercials. We should never put you on TV. Your head is enormous. We can't live with you. I mean, it was kind of one of those things. And I go, no, I think she's serious. And they go, okay, fine. So I bring her in and I love her. I love her energy. I love everything about her. And I've always said this about Alana. I said, she changed my life. When she came into my life, I was first chairing medical malpractice cases. I've been a lawyer for a half an hour. That's irresponsible, whoever's decision that was. I still say that to this day. And I was doing motion practice, depots, experts, first chairing stuff. I mean, I was in the deepest of the deep ends on highly complex cases. And when she came in, to me, it was like a life raft somebody had thrown me. And I was like, let's do this. And we just, the energy was there. We were tight. We went into it. And some of the things that you and I were given responsibility for, I still just I don't know how we pulled that off. But me being a mentor, I'm 2.5 years ahead of her. That's nuts. But it was like, we were in that deep end. We learned how to swim together. So what I liked about Alana, she was so disruptive. You know, she got my full attention. I was busy. So I don't care what you got to do. If you want somebody that you think is unattainable to help you and to mentor you, reach out, send them a blow smoke up your ass email. Flattery gets you a long way in this world. Okay. It worked on me. Everybody's got an ego. Stroke it. Now, no, Alana, what I was going to think is your mess up you were talking about. I can't tell you enough about this one case. That's a whole other show. But at one point during this case, Alana and I were trying. Alana's very fabulous. She's the pink lawyer. She's she's everything. She's got the hair. She's got the whole thing, dresses and everything. And back then we were all about Louboutins and Chanel. We were just all cutesy all the time. And so we had an issue that came up during this case, and she had to do some research right there on the fly, just research. The judge who was trying this case was not our regular trial court judge. It was an appellate judge. Anybody in the law goes, what? They took an appellate judge from the DCA and made him be a trial judge? What was he thinking? always has regretted this. When I run into him at lunch, he still goes, I don't know why I took that case. I will never do it again. So anyway, this guy is a trial court judge. He's an appellate judge. He's used to words and very reverent behavior. This trial was a shit show from jump. You name it, it happened in this trial. So we're researching a point of law that came out of nowhere. Alana hits it out of the park, but we don't have printers. We don't have any of this stuff right there. So I have to take up her laptop to the judge, the appellate judge said, her laptop is pink and bedazzled. And the judge, I go behind him, he goes, what is this? So I wish that I still had my crew that I have now. I've got a whole damn, Entertainment Tonight crew follows me pretty much everywhere I go. I would have loved to have captured a picture of that very stern judge looking at her pink bedazzled laptop computer, reading into the record a case from, I think, 1941, 1947. This was esoteric, man. But it was just so funny because Alana just embraces everything about herself. I'm gonna let you talk at some point, but give me a minute. And she and I, not too long ago, a couple of years ago, went to a seminar, and I loved a couple of things about this seminar. I liked a lot about it. I liked the way they organized cases, set them up, that sort of thing. But the way they dealt with the presentation aspect of a case, I hated, because I thought it was acting class. They were telling everybody to do it the same exact way. And so Alana gets up and it's her turn to do it, and they start getting at her. They start critiquing her because they were coming at her about everything that is uniquely Alana. And so I said, stop. I was like, stop this. I said, and I told her, I said, I'm not listening to that. I said, stop listening to them. They didn't win all those trials with you. You did that. They didn't get all those results for those clients. You did that. So don't let them get into here. Because they will screw you up and you will start doing things differently. You are fine just the way you are. You're exceptional. Embrace everything that's exceptional about you. And I just love that. And I love that you want to learn and you want to hear from people, but you got to watch the weight and space you give certain people in your head. And when they give you stuff that doesn't feel right, reject it. Just because it works for them or they've had more successes, it doesn't make it gospel. But Alana, come back to you and tell me what your experience is. Are you mentoring anybody? And what's your take on all of it? Just let me hear from you.
So yeah, actually, Dean Benavides actually, I think, set me up with a couple people who have been reaching out to me. I found a different path in law school, mainly I would say because of the experience with Dana, whereas I realized kind of the prescribed roles of, joining law review, doing this club, doing that club. That's good, I mean, on paper, but if you want to get ahead, you should really be working, in my opinion. And so I figured out a way, as Dana said, to kind of target people that I eventually wanted to work for, regardless of any job postings. I don't even look at job postings. I research law firms, then I would find whoever it was I wanted to work for, and I would send them an email while I was in law school, and they would fly me down for interviews. It was crazy, just basically thinking outside the box and not, following the A to Z things that typical people tell you to follow, because they're telling you to follow that because everybody's doing that. And that was something I definitely learned from Dana. But in any event, since the time of graduating law school and becoming a lawyer, I have been mentoring some individuals. Most recently, I have my law clerk here actually, who just became a lawyer. She's been my law clerk for 5 years. So I was mentoring her through the end of college. And then, the trials and tribulations associated with LSAT and getting into the law school of your dreams, and me telling her it really doesn't matter where you go and all of these things. And now for her working side by side with me and doing cases, it's, we all get in our heads. And so for somebody that you look at like, oh, they've made it, to explain to you, listen, I have that too. I have that crazy voice too, but this is what I do to get over it. It was so beneficial with me with Dana that now I use that with others. So I have Elaine, she's amazing. And then recently somebody from the law school had reached out, I want to say last year, and I actually helped her with getting a job. She was explaining to me how, like, what she was, I forget the thing that is used through the law school. I want to say it's like Synergy or something, that they reach out to certain job postings. And I was telling her what to do. And I helped her craft an email explaining, what her strengths are, and then picking out strengths from the law firm and showing how those corresponded. And she got like 10 hits. And so I find that my strength is, and I understand, the argument that, mentorship shouldn't have a gender. I have a different position on that. It might just be because I'm from South Florida and things are a little different down here. But to have a woman hold your hand in this firm, in this profession, at least for a little bit, I feel is necessary, because women in the law, even though, as Dana said, most are, there's more graduating and stuff, the ones that make it, and then the ones that become trial attorneys, is even smaller. And I get mistaken for a court reporter every other day. And I have, a bunch of huge verdicts. So this doesn't make sense in my mind, but this is the world I live in. So, I try as best as I can to reach out to as many women as I see need help, and kind of take them under my wing in any way I can when I see them struggling, really with the internal monologue that we all have, that sometimes you wonder whose side your brain is on. I feel like that's where the mentor can fill the void. So that's what I attempt to do.
What is, tell me what you think is probably the best thing you've learned from any of your mentors.
The best
Or
thing I
most
learned from
valuable.
any of my mentors is, fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? And that's really it. I had, and it's so funny, you just brought up the example with the judge, and I'll never forget the judge holding my hot pink laptop with rhinestones on it. But I remember being like, he was asking for some research, right? And you and the other counsel were talking about it. And I was like, I just learned this. It was intentional infliction of emotional distress, and how there was no more impact rule. And I was like, I just learned that. And I didn't know if I should speak up or not. I'm a law student. But then I see you, and I know that you had only been doing this for 35 seconds and you're out there killing it. I was like, you know what? Here's the case. And we did it. And so it's about squashing those doubts that we all have, and kind of faking it till you make it, because then eventually you make it.
Yeah, and fake it till you make it, it gets a bad rap. It feels like, I think a lot of people think it's imposter syndrome type stuff. No, what I look at fake it as you make it to mean is, I live my life as if I'm already that person I believe I will become.
Yep.
And when I treat myself that way, other people's treatment of me is informed by it. Whenever I got this incredible opportunity when I was really young and inexperienced, but I walked into it, and I acted like I was supposed to be given that opportunity, and that I was supposed to be there. And there is something truly special and exceptional about me. And then lo and behold, once I did it as if I believed that, other people started treating me that way. And then next thing you know, I looked around, I'm like, okay. And then it becomes real. That's the make it part. It's like, okay, I wasn't wrong about what I thought about myself. I'm getting feedback from other people that shows that's real. And so I think so many people stay in their heads, and they, so much of what we do to ourselves is by our own making. We're just in our heads with it. It's not real.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, what about you? Do you mentor people now? And then what's the best lesson you've learned from your mentors?
I like to think that I mentor my two younger sisters, but I'm not sure they would think of it that way.
You do,
They
whether
would
you realize it or not, and whether they do or not.
They probably would consider it bossing them around. But I try to kind of just give them bits and pieces of advice along the way about professional advice and, being in school and those types of things. But in other times, I do actually, a lot of my friends and my people that are my age reach out to me and ask for advice on trying to get jobs or what to wear to interview and things like that. So I guess you could consider that mentoring on a smaller scale, not necessarily, sitting down and meeting with somebody regularly or anything like that, but just giving people advice whenever they ask for it. And I'm not an expert at all. And I tell them that, so, get some input from other people, because I'm your age. You're probably going to be interviewing with someone who's 3 times older. So talk to some other people and see what they say and kind of put it together. But that's kind of my take on mentoring right now as a young person who hasn't even graduated college yet.
So what I want to talk about, how did you decide who to pursue as a mentor? Did they just kind of fall in your lap, or did you say, I need a mentor, I'm looking for someone who looks like A, B, and C? How did you go about choosing who you let, kind of help develop you and inform the decisions and thoughts that you have on things?
So that's an interesting question, because for a really long time, I thought, who needs a mentor? Like, why would you need a mentor? That's not something that I need. I know what I want to do. I have a pretty set path. But I had actually gotten involved with Ladies Learning to Lead with Samantha Vance, and they preach mentorship 24/7. I said, well, maybe this is actually kind of important. Maybe I should try to find somebody. And for a long time, I still was like, I don't know who's the right person. And then I realized, oh, I see this person just about every day. Why don't I ask if Dana Brooks can be my mentor? And that's kind of how I first got started with a career mentor. But of course, earlier in my life, I had teachers and people at my church who I didn't necessarily deem as mentors. But now that I'm older, I realized that they were mentors, and I thought they were, friends, teachers. And I think that is the definition of a mentor: is friends, teachers, somebody who has your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
And I will say, one of the best pieces of, I don't know if it was necessarily advice, but just from watching you and everybody else at Fasig Brooks, and I sent you a text telling you this, is that to make everybody feel welcomed and to make sure to introduce everybody, when you're in a situation where there's somebody who is new or somebody who's younger that may not know everybody in the room, just make sure to say, hey, this is so-and-so. They are studying this at Florida State, or they're an intern from this city, just kind of make sure that they feel welcomed and accepted, and that they feel comfortable to put their 2 cents worth in.
Yeah. Don't leave people behind. I
Yeah.
try to get people to do that. If you can hold a conversation and you see someone's being left out of it, try to be inclusive, that
And
just
you're
try to
really
bring
good at
somebody
that.
back in.
You're so good at that.
Absolutely.
Try. Now, tell me about, tell our listeners and viewers about the structure of how the mentoring went, because I let that go however it needs to go. And Elizabeth is a very disciplined, scheduled, structured person. And whenever she
Yes.
was here, she would schedule times. I mean, tell us about that.
I like to plan, a week in advance. I try to sit down every Sunday and plan out my days, by the hour. I know some people are as, I guess, cantankerous and tedious as planning it 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes they plan their day. I couldn't imagine doing that, but I can handle planning it by the hour. And so whenever I was working at Fasig Brooks, if I knew you were going to be in the office, I would try to send you a text, hey, can we meet up this time? And even now, since we don't see each other that much, I'll try to send you a text maybe a month or so in advance to try and make sure our schedules can align. So that way we're sure to make time to sit down, catch up, and just mentor.
Well, she would come in with an agenda. She would set a time, like an hour or 30 minutes or whatever. And when she came in here, she was taking notes. She had an agenda, what she wanted to cover, and we did it. It was awesome.
That's how my brain works.
Whereas with, Alana and me, it was like, I'm on a shit show train, come with me. When I drop shit, pick it up, please. Will you help me with that? Yeah, you got to kind of work your own way around it. I tell people, I put this in the book, and I said, I have a lot of mentors who don't know they were my mentors. They didn't know I had given them that job.
Well, that's like the people that I was mentioning, earlier in my life. I don't think it's necessarily them as my mentor, and I didn't either until I got older and realized, the impact they had on my life.
That's right. That's right. I think a mentor is kind of a hip term, but it's been going on a really long time.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Kimmy, what about you? What are your thoughts on mentoring and some of the valuable lessons you've learned? And then what kind of feedback do you get? Do you ever hear from people that say, you don't know this, but I was watching you and you were the, inspiration for me to do X or Y? I mean, tell us about your
sometimes I get that, and it's so awesome, and it's always surprising to me, Because even though we've got this wonderful platform and we're doing shows and stuff, I don't ever think about it. I'm doing a million different things. And so it means a lot when people reach out. I wanted to say to Elizabeth, I think it's funny how you say, I don't know why people would want my advice and look up to me. I look up to you, Elizabeth. I think you're phenomenal. I think it's incredible how you're so engaged in the community and you're doing wonderful things and you're posting about it on social media and you've done so much for your young age. Like, I've just been wowed by you the entire time I've known you. So even though you're just 21
that
years
means a
old,
lot.
I'm telling you, you can have, I mean, you can have older people who are mentored by younger people too, definitely. I wanted to say too, one of the questions, Dana, you'd asked earlier is kind of what are the best things you've learned from your mentors?
Yeah.
I've learned a lot over the years, but one main thing is you got to take care of yourself. And so if you're getting too stressed or you're getting too overworked, take a breath. Like, it's okay. If you need to go, Jimmy Fasig has said to me, Kimmy, why don't you just go take the day off and go walk somewhere? Like, just reset. It'll all be here. We all support you. So I think that's a really great piece of advice and that reminder to take care of yourself and not take everything so serious, even though what we do is so serious.
Yeah.
My observations is I appreciate the level of stress everybody here must be under, and everybody handles it a little bit differently. Kimmy is fine. She's fine. She's ice cold. She's fine. She's fine. She's this way no matter what's going on. She doesn't do this.
That's true.
Some people here, you have to pull them off the ceiling sometimes, or they're like, oh, this happened and I can't. She's steady as she goes, which makes me worry about you. It makes me worry that you got a big, crash coming. So I'm glad to hear that you make your time for your meditation and your yoga, and you will take time to walk or whatever, but you are such a steady rock of a human in my observation.
Thank you.
And I know eyes are on you. And I tell people this all the time, you may not know you're a mentor, but you are. There's little boys and girls looking up and seeing what you do every day. So we all are, whether we enlisted in it or not. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that you get those messages of it's okay to take a Kimmy day.
Oh yeah. Yep. Because I'm steady. But then when I reach my max, I'm like, oh, gotta take a break.
Out,
right now.
Kimmy out. I like that. That shows an incredible self-effacing, self-awareness type of thing. Khia, what about you? What are some of the best things that you think you have learned from your mentors? And what have you gotten feedback on that said that somebody really appreciated a contribution you made to them as their mentor?
I actually just recently, to answer the last question first, a young lady that I have been mentoring since she was in middle school and I was in college at the time. And what's crazy is I ended up interviewing her when I worked for the state as a manager and a consultant there. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, how do I know you? She was like, Khia, it's me. And I was, because she had her hair all done. She almost kind of looked like a replication of me. And I was like, what is happening here? And she was like, Khia, it's me. And I was like, Christina? She was like, yeah. Well, just yesterday, she's now working in one of the IG's offices for the state. She just did one of her huge presentations for the entire state on equality and inclusion. I believe that's what it was. I got a text message from her last night saying it went amazing. And I was like, so what did you do? She was like, I turned on some jazz music while they were walking in so they wouldn't be bored. I made sure that they were engaged. She was like, remember when you used to do some of your meetings and you did icebreakers and this? And I was like, I had no idea she was paying attention. But she was like, it made a huge impact because she started like how we have Google reviews. She started having people send her texts and emails saying you did an amazing job. It was so engaging. That made me feel absolutely amazing. And I think when she thought I was texting her back, she was like, are you serious right now? Because I kept saying, I'm so proud of you. This is great. Because I'm always so sarcastic with her that when I was giving her all those accolades, she was like, where is this coming from? And I was like, that's awesome. I'm so proud of you. But that is like, you never think you're gonna
The
get
best thing, that's the best feeling in the
Yeah.
world.
From the things you're doing. You don't know, like you say, who's watching, and the fact that she picked up on those little things and it helped her with her presentation, especially being in the IG's office for the state of Florida. I think that was great. And in regards to your first question, what was it again, Dana?
It was, what did you learn? What's what some of the best things you've learned from the people
There
you
it is.
chose
I
as mentors?
apologize.
Yeah.
I think I need a drink. What was the best things I've learned is that everybody does not learn the same. Even down to the little girls that I coach in cheerleading, they are 6, 7, and 8 guys, but the team goes all the way up to 18. So you have like all these different teams, 9 of them. These little girls, it reminds me of like, hey, everybody needs some attention. Either their stomach hurts or their teeth hurts, or hey, I don't want to do this anymore because my eyeball hurts. And you're sitting there like, why? They're tired, right? Because they have a 2.5-hour practice. But I'm sitting there saying, there are different ways that you have to show them, like, hey guys, we have competition next week, so you can't break down. Then it's like you're trying to teach them a different way, but that also transitions into the adult world. You have to figure out different ways to show people how to get through certain things, those stressful situations, or those situations where you're like, I have never experienced this before and I need help. So I
Yeah.
think everybody learns different, and we always have to make sure, especially with the pandemic, pivoting is necessary. So that's one of the biggest things that I've learned. Everyone learns differently.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when you understand that, it helps you take a little pressure off of yourself. You know,
Absolutely.
whenever you say, well, she did it this way and she was here at this point and I'm not. Well, that's not the thing. It's not a race. It's not a race, but you do have to start. And a lot of times just getting off your ass and starting any kind of process is the biggest step. And then if your eyes and your ears are open, you'll find helpers along the way, even unwitting helpers who don't know that they're mentoring you. So I 100% agree with that. Betsy, what about you? A best lesson you've learned from your mentors and what you think that they have learned from you, best things that you've gotten feedback that they've learned from you.
You look intimidating over there, Betsy.
I've asked 3 people this question. She knew it was coming.
Right,
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. No, I think
Alana over there working. Alana over there working. I know she is. Whatever. Go ahead, Betsy.
you know, the number one thing I've learned from my mentors is how to do this job and how to manage the stress and how to just kind of get through the day, keeping all the balls in the air. And that is a very valuable lesson for someone like me, especially, you know, with having the kids and raising them. And you have to learn that you're not going to be able to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
And there's going to be times where you have to triage and you have to prioritize, and that's okay. We all want to do everything we need to do right when we need to do it. And I used to stress myself out if something didn't get done. So I think that was a big lesson that I've learned, and also to take vacations, because what are we doing all this work for, you know, if it's not to enjoy our lives and take our kids somewhere and unplug and have an experience. So, and those are things that I've tried to teach the people that I've been fortunate enough to mentor myself is, look, this is going to be there when you get back. You have got to go out and enjoy your life. You're going to burn out. I think those were the main things.
I do too. And I think in them I think particularly you, Betsy, because you've been on the show and you got quite a bit on your plate there for a minute. Lots of challenges, health, relationships, children, career, you name it. And I think it's so important to let people see you struggle and see how you handle it. That teaches resiliency. Resiliency, I'm learning, is not necessarily innate. We're not necessarily born with that. It's almost like a developed skill. And sometimes you do have to see other people suffer and other people adjust and pivot to gain that strength and that what is the word I'm looking for? It's like a competency. It's you'll learn that competency by observing other people who've gone before you and done it. One of the things that I fear is I don't want my mentees to emulate me. I don't want them to do what Dana does. I don't want them to be like Dana. I've made mistakes. I've got a lot of, I got a lot of scars and wounds and stuff. And I hope that if someone can learn something and not have to go down my path and not have to repeat that, that's great. But I really think about those things because I've got some mentees who are so great and so successful, but I see them struggling with a lot of the same things. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I didn't do a good job. She should have learned this and she shouldn't be struggling like this. For instance, health. I got how old was I when I had I hope my last, but my first 2 cardiac ablations, I was 50. It's not good, y'all. Okay. And there's a lot of probably reasons for that. I don't know, but stress has got to be one of them. Lost all my hair.
Wow.
I know that sounds like a vanity thing, but when you lose your fucking hair, that gets your full attention. I've always heard, I've got a lot of my Black girlfriends will tell me my hair is my crown. My hair is my crown. And I thought to myself, well, of course it is. But I always thought, oh, if I got breast cancer, I'd shave this shit off in a minute. I want to live. No, until you actually experience losing your hair for any reason, you don't realize how much of your identity, your femininity, your womanhood, whatever the hell your hang up is about it, that you don't even know you have. And so I have learned a lot, and I've learned health matters so much more than I ever paid attention to up until the point where it left me and it failed me. So that's a big thing. I hope my mentees now see me work on and appreciate. I don't deal with stress as well as I should have. And so I learn from other people now. And I watch people, like I said, I watch Alana. She's been on this show for, let's see, about 50 so minutes, and she's on her phone. She's dealing with some emails. She has to, because I couldn't believe she agreed to give an hour to me. What kind of hour is it? It's a quasi hour because she's got 400 things on fire. I know her, I can see it in her face. Kimmy, like I said, she looks so steady. And you always still water runs deep. Okay, when somebody looks so put together, you wonder, where's the other shoe, man? Where's the other shoe? Not that I'm wishing it on you. And then I look at Betsy, and Betsy's like, look, out. This is me. I'm here for it. I'm earning it. I've earned it. I've got some wounds. I've got some whatever, but I am here to live my best life right now, today. Her head seems right. Her head seems straight. I like that about her. Khia's another one. She's got it going on. She's taking care of a million things. She's looking good. But Khia has fucking feelings, Khia will get upset. She will want to express herself. We've got to make accommodation. It's not even accommodation. We need to understand not to expect perfection in ourselves or anybody else. We need to understand that most of us on this show are living in a man's world still. And we've decided to take up some space in it, and you're going to get some pushback for that. And so the least you should have to worry about is another woman giving you shit about it. So that's why we have the Empower Hour. That's why we have the Empower Plant. That's why we have mentors and mentees, and we bring people together to help bring up the collective good. My mission in life is to raise women and girls' collective gender self-esteem. We are great people, and we'll be even greater whenever we enlist the help of others who identify with us and want to support us in our journey. I'd like to go around to the panel one last time tonight, and before we wrap up, but thank you again so much, Alana Weatherstone, and thank you so much, Elizabeth Hughes, and all of our people for making this a great show. Let's start with you, Kimmy, a wrap up, and then we'll go to Betsy, Khia, and then Alana and Elizabeth.
Sounds good. Well, it was great to meet you, Alana. Nice to see you, Elizabeth, again. Alana, I feel like you and I are living similar lives. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old boy and a lawyer husband. But yeah, my thought from this is I want to go find me another mentor, and I want to find me a mentee. So if anybody's looking and wants a little Kimmy Hogan mentor action, just reach out to me.
Your phone's about to blow up. Good. All right, Betsy.
Action. I'll take that action, Kimmy.
All right.
Mentor me. Now, look, this has been really fun. I'm kind of jealous that you guys got to be mentored by Dana. I bet that was a hoot and a lot of fun, because Dana's always teaching me new stuff. She's dropping all of these pearls of wisdom like all the time. And it's like I'm scooping them up and I'm putting in my purse, and I remember that. So that's awesome. And it's great to meet y'all. And Elizabeth, I'm so happy to put a face and a voice with the Facebook.
Yes.
Elizabeth's going to be your governor one day, so you do need to remember her face.
Believe
And
that.
get her cell number now. Get her cell number now before it becomes unavailable. That's fantastic. Khia.
I just want to say, guys, for anyone who wants to be Kimmy's mentee, just know you got a bulldog on your side. She's amazing. That is a trend for her around here, guys. Just want to let you know. But thank you, Alana and Elizabeth, for being here. Elizabeth, you have always been so welcoming every time I met you. So I wish you nothing but success, and you're going to be amazing. I see that being manifested. And Alana, you are definitely Dana. So I see it, and I'm not mad at it. And I'm kind of like Betsy. I kind of feel a certain type of way of not getting that mentorship. But don't worry, me and Betsy will be in her office soon to get the rest of it at the tail end of everything. But I think this is great, because I think this is going on another topic of, I don't know why God put me here, but it's almost like I keep trying to get out of going to law school, and it's almost like these type of shows happen, and I'm like, but that's why I went and got my master's, or that's why I said I was going to get my doctorate, to avoid law school. And then you ladies just talk about how amazing it is. So I thank you for constantly embedding that in my head. So we shall see where that goes, but I thank you guys so much for being here. And again, mentees, Kimmy is welcoming it, and you need it. That bulldog is amazing.
I met with a client yesterday. Kimmy wasn't around, and she just had a client who showed up, and I said I'd talk to her or whatever. And she goes, I sure do like Kimmy. You like her too? I said, well, there's how many lawyers in this firm? If I had a case, I'd hire her.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
She goes, oh, okay.
Absolutely.
I said, no, she's a silent killer.
That's what it is.
She's not going to come in there and scream and bow up and ask somebody to take it out in the parking lot. She's going to get it done, and it's going to happen, and no arguing about it, period.
Absolutely.
So Alana, let's hear from you as we wrap up today.
Well, again, thank you so much for having me. And basically, I hope what viewers take out of this is that you can still be a mentor or a mentee, even if you feel you're not 100% where you want to be in life. Because again, the learning comes with the struggle, and getting better comes with the struggle as well. So I'm still a work in progress, mentoring a whole bunch of people, but being super transparent with it about it as well, because lo and behold, they still experience the same things I do, as do so many other people. So I think it's really important to show your wounds and show your scars and what you learn from it as well.
Love it.
Also, remember what I said about health, lady.
Working on it.
I don't want you to do everything I do. Okay. Not looking to visit you with an interventional cardiologist in a few years. Okay.
Working on it.
I mean it. Period. Listen to me.
I am.
Don't make me be mean, Dana.
Well, I've seen that, Dana.
She's ugly. She is an ugly bitch.
And then she follows up with the I love you.
I love you. I do love you. Yeah, and thank you for putting up with my massive fail. Elizabeth, let's end with you today.
Well, thank you guys so much for having me on. It's good to be back and to meet Alana and Betsy, see you guys face to face. I think one of the most important things that anybody can think of when they're thinking of mentorship is to realize that the person who's mentoring them is, I think, like everybody has said today, has flaws and imperfections, that you can't put them on a pedestal and say, if I'm not like this, I'm a failure. You have to make sure that you realize that, you're taking this person's advice, but you're not taking their advice as, the Bible. You're taking their advice, you're hearing it out, you're seeing how it applies to your life, and taking what does apply to your life and make it better and use it. And what doesn't goes in one ear and out the other.
Right.
You can save it for another time because maybe one day it will be applicable in your life. So I think that's the most important thing that anyone can, I guess, remember as they're going into a mentorship.
No, I think that's great advice. Whenever, the converse of that is whenever you do see one of your mentors fail or struggle, that doesn't mean discount everything you've ever experienced or seen or learned from them. It
Oh,
just means
absolutely.
it's like what is the evidence code, Alana's, Kimmy, is it 403? No, what is it? Give it, the weight and space,
1.403.
that it deserves. Give it the weight and space that it deserves. Don't get rid of it altogether. Just put it in the proper perspective. Because good people can have bad days. Good people can have bad years. So
I think that can happen with any mentor, male, woman, anybody.
Exactly right.
You have to weigh that advice, regardless of who it is or how amazing you think that person can be.
Right. That's right. We all
And
have bad
sometimes
days.
that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I think you're so right. Thank you, ladies, so much for being here again. Betsy Brown, Kimmy Hogan, Khia Thomas, and our two special guests today, Elizabeth Hughes and Alana Weatherstone. This has been another fantastic episode of the Empower Hour, brought to you by the Empower Plant by Fasig Brooks. We hope you will join us next Thursday at 4:30 Facebook Live, and you can always catch our podcast anywhere you get your podcast. It is the Empower Hour by the Empower Plant. So we will see you next week, and go out there and mentor somebody and find you a mentor. Y'all have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.